Hello everyone, so in this week of today's video, we will be looking at Start M and Sit M. Start M, Sit M is the ultimate look at the best and worst matchups based on a PPR scoring system in fantasy football. We'll look at the players you have questions about who could exceed or fail to meet expectations at each position. For all of your final fantasy lineup decisions, be sure to check out our weekly player rankings, which will be updated daily on our YouTube channel throughout the NFL season. The quarterback position is in pretty dire straits right now for fantasy football entering into Week 9. The position has never been more hit or miss than it is right now. And it's created a landscape in which, unless you have one of the handful of elite options, you probably need to be throwing as many darts as you can until you find one. Justin Herbert vs. Falcons. The quarterback's numbers are solid as he tossed multiple TDs in 4 of 7 games to begin the season, and the offense's injury situation may not be so dire. Herbert is on the short list of QBs with a strong shot to lead the position in fantasy points this season. Joe Burrow's Panthers. Burrow topped 37 passes for the first time since Week 1 and was incredibly efficient with his opportunity. His effort through the air will rightfully get the majority of the attention. Panthers are going against a good pass defense here. Tua Tagovailoa's Bears. Tagovailoa returned in Week 7 against the Steelers and was able to score 15.94 fantasy points. Detroit has allowed an average of 20.8 fantasy PPG QBs, the 4th highest rate in the NFL. The good thing is, anything that they do, Tagovailoa gets points for as well. He remains a start in another fantastic matchup. Jared Goff vs. Packers. Jared Goff managed to dink and dunk his way into scoring position a couple of times. His 4 total turnovers doomed Detroit's chances of a come-from-behind victory. Goff is also a non-factor as a rusher, having yet to clear 108 rushing yards in a single season. He's barely on the QB2 radar for Week 9. Mac Jones of his Colts. The Packers are struggling offensively, averaging just 18.3 points per game this season. Plus, Jones and the Packers will square off against the Buffalo Bills, a defense that's giving up just 281.5 yards per game this season, which ranks first in the NFL. With one of the toughest NFL matchups, Jones is a player to consider putting on the bench in Week 9. Running backs RB. Tyler Algier of his Chargers. After splitting work with Caleb Huntley in Week 6, Algier took hold of the lead back role against the Bengals. Algier has at least 10 carries in 5 of his 6 games this season, tallying 50 or more rushing yards on 3 occasions, and he would be making it into our Start M list. Josh Jacobs was Jaguars. Despite missing 2 games, Jacobs finished no lower than 12th among backs in carries, targets, touches, yards, and fantasy points last season. Hence, Jacobs' role as the lead ball carrier and goal line option keeps the 24-year-old in our Start M mix for RBs. DARRELL Henderson's Buccaneers. Henderson was sick earlier in the week, missing practice and returning as a limited participant. The Rams are likely to rely on Henderson as their starter, making him part of our Start M list for RBs. Derrick Henry vs. Chiefs. Henry is looking for a bounce-back season after missing 9 games due to injury in 2021. Prior to the injury, Henry's age has always been a concern. He would be on our Sit M list entering into Week 9. Kenneth Walker IE's Cardinals. Walker didn't see any action as a receiver. He didn't need to supplement his production on the ground. Only if Penny misses time, that was when Walker would move the ladder, which is why he would be on our Sit M list for the coming week. David Montgomery vs. Dolphins. Montgomery ran fairly effectively. The Bears' backfield came very close to an even split as Montgomery outtouched Khalil Herbert by only 15-13. He will be a sitter entering Week 9. Wide receivers WR. Jalen Waddle of his Bears. Waddle's upgrade to full participation Friday erases most of the concern about his health heading into the weekend. He moved up 0.1% and he makes it to the WR mix. T. Higgins' Panthers. Higgins has emerged as one of the league's top wide receivers since he was selected in the 2nd round of the 2020 draft, and now the 23-year-old profiles as a must-start player in the short term. Adam Thielen vs. Commanders. Thielen's route running savvy and chemistry with Kirk Cousins will continue affording him plenty of fantasy viability in a Week 8 home matchup. They are going against a good pass defense. Keenan Allen vs. Falcons. Allen logged 23 of 71 snaps on offense and gathered in both targets for 11 yards. He's always been reliable, and heavy short area usage have allowed consistent top-end production. Allen is a solid WR. Brandon Cooks was Eagles. The Texans list Cooks as questionable for the game due to a wrist injury. Cook's status now warrants monitoring heading into Week 9. He joins our sit-M list for WRs. DJ Moore is Bengals. Moore has 2 single-digit yardage tallies this season in the Panthers' wildly inconsistent offense, so while Sunday's returns were a welcome sight, it remains to be seen if they can be replicated in a road matchup entering into Week 9. Tight ends, P. Zach Ertz as Vikings. Ertz appeared in all 17 games last season and finished 5th in fantasy points. Ertz is a good bet for another top 10 fantasy campaign. He has a position rank of 5 and he moves up 1%. Robert Tonyan Packers. Tonyan set season highs for targets, receptions, and yardage in Week 6, but he was held in check Sunday by a Washington defense that has made a habit of shutting down tight ends this season.